All right, boys, Semphis here, and we're going to be talking about the RMR changes. I trimmed my beard finally, so I don't look like a, you know, maniac caveman that's going to kill you with an axe. However, I still could. So we're going to be talking about the RMR changes. This interview by Muturis kind of resparked my interest in the topic. I planned on making a video a while ago. I just kind of forgot. It kind of slipped my mind. First off, I'll be giving my opinions, and then we'll scroll through some of the comments and see what people are saying about it, because basically the whole comment section is talking about the RMR changes and nothing else. So, first off, I want to say that I'm a big fan of anyone being able to qualify, and I really liked Valve's original stance. So I've been playing this game since alpha, since 2012. I've talked to the Valve devs. I've been to their headquarters. I talked to them at majors. And granted, I have not talked to them in probably 10 years, and I realize that most of those people no longer work at the company and things change, and I understand that. However, I was always under the impression that Valve enjoyed having open qualifiers and not having a closed circuit being controlled by them and kind of gatekeeping. So you look at other games like Valorant and League of Legends, the tournament organizers, which are the developers, and they have a huge say in what happens, and they basically treat it more like a sport, like NHL, NBA, where you have like set teams, like your high school basketball team can't qualify for the NBA, right? Like that's not how that works. I'm not a huge sport buff, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right there. So, I was always a huge fan of that. I always love the fact that like someone watching this could go and make a team with their four buddies or some friends they find on Faceit or ESCA or whatever they're playing matchmaking, vibe well, put some work in, and qualify for an RMR, go to the LAN, and qualify for the major. I think that's awesome. And I also think it's sad that you take it away, because that's like a huge like connection for players that are up and coming, right? Like, so if you're a tier 3 player, like you're pretty good, you might be in like main or premier or around that level, but obviously you're not tier 1, you're probably not even tier 2 yet, you're on the brink there. But what's cool about it is you can play in these open qualifiers, you can get experience versus better teams, and you could potentially play above your level, maybe upset some people, and maybe qualify potentially, like every once in a while you have like, Gambit Academy, which was Shiro and Axel and Inters and those guys. They got a lot better when they picked up Hobbit, but I'm just saying, like, they made their name for themselves before Hobbit joined, and they were just kind of like a young academy team up and coming. Obviously, they had some support from an org, and they were grinding really hard. And it's probably not a one-for-one example of you and your buddies. However, I don't think it would be as easy for them to make it on the scene if everything was closed off to them, right? Like if every tournament was just like invite only or based off points or whatever. I think it's a lot harder for some of these smaller teams without large organizations backing them to qualify for these events. And that goes for all events, but I understand, ESL can do whatever they want. It's up to them, right, what they're doing with their tournaments. But I just think with majors, I really wished that it would stay in its old form where like anyone can go online and you can qualify. However, I do understand that cheating is a huge problem, and there's nothing really I can say that can fix it. I mean, online people cheat. There's when you let anyone join, the chances of cheating and someone getting eliminated by someone doing something like that gets greatly increased, especially if you're someone that just doesn't care about the game. Like think about you if you're going to school and you're becoming an engineer, and you maybe don't have the best morals, and you have no aspirations of going pro in Counter-Strike. It's just kind of something you've been doing for a couple of years. You play it as your hobby for fun with your friends. I mean, there's really no downside to you cheating, right? Like if you think about it, you cheat, you get caught, you get banned, whatever. You have your career, you're about to graduate, go play Valorant or make a new account because you don't care about going pro. So those type of people definitely ruin it for everyone, and I totally understand that, and it's very difficult, but I don't really understand why we can't have both. Like, why can't we have the Valve point system to invite people to the closed directly to the LANs, and then have like open qualifiers for at least one or two teams, like in each region. Like it doesn't have to be a lot, but like just giving people the chance to qualify, I think would be fun. And if most of the teams are getting in, like if Complexity is qualifying for points. Liquid's qualifying by points, and they're all going to the place, like going to the RMR to qualify at the LAN. You obviously can't get cheated at the LAN. Well, I mean, some people might debate that, but I think it's fairly difficult to cheat at the LAN these days. I don't see what the issue is by just adding maybe 2 to 4 more slots to these closed qualifiers to maybe give people a chance, and then you kind of like give the up and coming teams a chance to join to qualify and maybe potentially make the major, and you don't really take away from the top teams getting kind of like I don't want to say it like getting unfairly beaten by cheaters potentially, or having issues online because obviously you have internet issues, ping, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. That's my opinion, is I just, like I said, I just really like when anyone can qualify and join. And I understand people are going to have different arguments why they like or don't like it. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I just feel like if I was up and coming and I felt like I could only get points to go to the RMR if I'm like qualifying for these closed qualifiers, it's like, yeah, I get it, man. Like for tier 2, tier 1 orgs that are stable and playing everything in the year, sure, it's fine. Like you deserve to get there by the points, but I think it stops, like for example, let's say Simple decided to make a new team. Let's say Navi's like, yo, no one's buying you, your salary's way too high. We're going to let you go. So Simple gets to make a new org with, I don't know, some Valorant org comes in and gives Simple free reign to make a roster. He picks up, Perfecto and Smooya and Mir, and they make a team and they go qualify for the major. Like that team could easily qualify for the closed qualifier for the major. I think we all agree there. Maybe they wouldn't win the major, but I definitely think they'd have a chance to qualify, which would be impossible with this system. So that's just like one example that I like, and like I said, I understand people have different opinions, and I'm not saying mine is necessarily right. It's just what I like, what I think is better. So yeah, for me, I've never been a huge fan of like the sports way that you do it. I just feel like the rosters and the skill of these lineups are too volatile that it doesn't make sense to just always, like, how many teams have we seen falling off, but their reputation kind of gets them invites? A good example would be NIP, like NIP when they were on the decline, Cloud9 when they're on the decline. They would get invited to every event and just go get last every time because of their name, right? So it's like, I don't like that where, rosters can kind of, be going every blast, going to all these ESL events for really no reason. And I understand that is becoming eliminated more these days than it was prior, but it definitely used to be a bigger issue than maybe it is right now. But I've never liked that. I've always liked you being there based off merit and, qualifying for the van. But like I said, I get the cheating aspect. It's definitely a huge problem. So we'll go through some of the comments here. Well, not through everyone, but the problem is not the majors. The problem is the lack of open qualifier requirements to other tournaments. Yeah, it's like if there's not open qualifiers for all the other events, for example, if Blast is inviting people, if ESL is inviting people. Now, ESL generally has open qualifiers and closed qualifiers, so not every tournament is the same. And I, off the top of my head, I do not know every tournament that has open and not open and only goes through invites. But I will say that is definitely an issue. Is like, if you're saying that teams that stick together are going to be rewarded, well, you have to give them a way to be rewarded. If you're still inviting teams directly to tournaments and you're having no open qualifiers, then you're kind of like it's not fair for the year, right? Like if Vitality gets invited to every event because they deserve it, like obviously I think that's fine because they're, top 5 team in the world, like on any given day. I think that's fine. However, the issue I have with that is that now the other people can't qualify through an open qualifier, so they don't have the chance to even get points. So I'd like to see, like, if they're going to make this a system that's basically going off your points for the year, they have to enforce more open qualifiers for everyone. Or else you're kind of just limiting it to tier 1 and maybe some tier 2 teams, right? That's just my opinion. So this guy says no, it won't. TOs are not required to run open quals ever, and they're not gonna almost ever. I mean, like, he's kind of right. I mean, they're not required to, as far as I know. Some do, some don't. Like I just said. So, but yeah, like I just think like it's a very weird gray area for me of like I just don't see how this is fair, and I feel like there's an extreme bias on like the tier 1 teams like G2, Liquid, huge money could go to every event, boot camps, everything like that, right? Like there's a lot of factors in here that are giving some of these teams massive advantages to qualify for the RMR. So hard to disagree. The RMR system was ass. It allowed any team to fluke their way to the major, and top teams that played well for months leading up to the major could mess up a single qualifier and not make it. Smaller teams can still make it. You just have to have consistently good results across multiple tournaments instead of fluking through a couple of qualifications to make it to the major. I like seeing an underdog story here and there, but when half the teams in the playoffs are no-name underdog teams, it hurts the tournament. I mean, it hurts the tournaments in terms of viewership and entertainment. At the end of the day, all sports are about entertainment, and people want to see storylines and rivalries play out. That last part, I get it. Like, it's better for viewership and sponsors and TOs. Better for everyone to have G2, Navi, and Vitality at your events, right? Like, you don't want Elevate, Nouns, and Wildcard. Like, nothing against my own team or those teams, but it's just like just factually, more people are going to tune in to the first list of teams, right? So the part I disagree with is that you can just fluke your way to the major. Like, sure. Like, first off, generally there's more than one closed qualifier or open qualifier. 2 years ago there was 4. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it was last year. I had a lot of shit going on in my life, so I honestly just don't remember. But from what I recall last time, there was 4 chances to qualify for the close. So like one team or the 2 top teams would qualify to the closed qualifier in Mexico. So you had 4 chances. So if you don't qualify in 4 chances, you did not deserve to go to the closed qualifier. That's my opinion. Obviously, you can get cheated, but in 4 qualifiers, I'm hoping that you didn't get cheated all 4 times. I feel like that would be extremely unlucky. Anyways, I feel like if you qualify, even if you fluke your way through the online qualifier, let's say there was only one qualifier, and you just fluked your way, had a good day, blah, 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 win BO1s, all the excuses people use, you still have to go to the land and then win, and you can only win or be eliminated in a BO3. So, yeah, sure, you could win 2 BO1s and then win your BO3, but you still you won 100% of your games. You won 2 BO1s and a BO3 versus other really good teams with salaries and big orgs behind them. Like, you deserve to go to the major in that case. Like, you didn't fluke anything. Now, I will say that you can get lucky in the sense that, like, you get a good draw. For example, when we were at the first RMR in Mexico, we ended up drawing Liquid for the final game. If we win, we go to the RMR. If we lose, you're out. And we actually played really well. We lost the first game. We won the second game. Third game was like, could have gone our way, but like, I think we lost like by a bigger scoreline, but like in the game, you know, it felt like if a couple rounds went our way, we could have gone. Anyways, we drew Liquid, and they were really good at the time. However, the other team drew like some random, like kind of like low tier South American team, which obviously we would rather have played. Like, I honestly feel like we would have qualified if we had the other draw. Like, if we were on the other side of the bracket, I'm like, yeah, like very confident would have qualified. So I understand that there is a little bit of luck. I'm not going to say it's like, I'm not saying it's completely wrong in that no one has fluked their way to a major, but I mean, like, mostly I would say it's pretty rare that a bad team just gets lucky and qualifies for an RMR. Like, you might consider them bad, but they're still probably at least decent, you know. So yeah, more people talking about online qualifiers full of cheaters, and like, yeah, I mean, I sympathize with that. There's really nothing I can say to the cheater aspect is the number one reason that, like, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's like we're just gonna let the cheaters win. We're just gonna throw the white flag. Hey, cheaters, we're gonna just keep you out by having everything all like invite only points and on land. Like, yeah, I guess, but I mean, maybe we could get better at cashing them. I don't know. They only make a couple $1 billion a year, so I don't know. But anyways, that's a whole other topic. So, scroll a bit. Seeing underdog teams are exciting, but if there are too many underdog teams in the playoffs, then the excitements are gone. Although I happily blah blah blah. Like when I say like, how many underdogs even qualify for a major? How many even make it far in the playoffs? Like, is there like an abundance of underdogs at the major? Like, I don't really see that. And like, is it bad to see like by that logic, should we just like make it harder for like South American teams to qualify, like South or like Asian teams, like Australian teams? Like we should just make it harder for them because they're not as good historically as like Europeans and CIS region and whatever you want to say. Like I don't know. I guess it depends on what you classify as underdog, right? Because like I don't see like a bunch of tier 3 and tier 2 teams just like qualifying for the major from my memory at least. Like it's usually like when people make like a really good run, it's like when Gambit won with Zeus and Adren and Hobbit and stuff. It's like Mao. It's like like it's like sure they might be like a little bit of an underdog, but they're like still a good team. Like good players. Like so. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone put a list of every team that qualified to be wrong. I'm just going off memory here. So I won't. But I'll just say like I don't really think that's what happens. Anyone can still do it. You just got to be good enough now, not luck out a few times only to bomb out in the main event. I mean, like I kind of just touched on that. I just don't agree. Like I don't think you just get lucky to qualify. I think you can get lucky to qualify for the LAN. Like. But if you're going to go qualify in Mexico, or I think this year it's in Shanghai, if you go to the LAN and you qualify, you deserve to go to the major, man. Like, that's all there is to it, to me. Like, I don't know. And then this guy goes, anyone who already has invites to the ranked events, which don't have open qualifiers either, I guess. Anyone who plays for an established team. He's not, I mean, there are open qualifiers. I don't know where this idea that there's just none comes from. It's not like there's every event has them, but there definitely is open qualifiers. But I mostly agree. Like I think most. I don't know. Like, do you guys agree for the most part? Because I mean, for me, I just like I don't necessarily think this is true. But I do agree with what he's saying. No, because invites will be based out on Valve rankings, meaning the only team that intend to stick around and play the entire circuit will be invited to the major. I, for one, was sick of all these fly-by-night dogshit bedroom orgs throwing a roster together just for sticker money, pretending they were legit, and then instantly shit-canning the team and fucking all their players when they didn't make it to the major. Or even worse, actually make it to the major and then leaving the sticker money and also fucking the players over. Or even worse, cheating their way through the qualifiers and fucking actual legit teams out of a chance. Hi, Akuma, looking at you. The whole idea of but my underdog story is so ridiculous because it never happened in 11 years. The closest anyone got was GL getting to the finals, who, while Tier 2, are an established real organization, and Vitality won it anyways. In fact, every underdog in that Paris major was an established org, just a Tier 2 one. Open quals for the biggest tournament in CS are stupid. Earn your spot to be there across the season, like you damn well should, instead of just rocking up twice a year to try your luck. So, like, I get where he's coming from, and I'm not one of these people that I get mad if other people have different opinions than me. I think people get way too worked up these days on people who have disagreements. You can have a conversation about what's best for the game and not hate each other. However, I will say when it comes to this is like I can totally see why he said this. Like I get it. Like I get why he's saying like the orgs come in and they just put a ragtag team together, hoping to make the major. But like that is really good for Tier 2, 3 CS. Like as much as it sucks to say, he's right. There are a lot of Tier 2 teams, 2 or 3 teams that come up and they pick up a roster up half year. out from a major, hoping to get enough experience and be able to qualify for the RMR, qualify for the major, and they're basically banking on that sticker money to kind of like fund all their success. And if they don't make the major, they might either kind of like reduce spending, maybe lower some costs here or there, less boot camps. They're going to put, less money into you, or like you said, just cut the team entirely, which at the end of the day, is that a terrible thing? Is it bad that you got 6 months of support to try to qualify for the major, getting salary, getting boot camps, etc.? Like, I don't know. I think, back in the day when I was like younger and coming up, I think I would have been happy to play for, let's just say TSM picked up a team for 6 months and then cut me, like, because we didn't make major. I still would be fine with that because I'm not tier 1 at the time. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but I just, for me personally, I don't think that's a huge negative, and I also think, like, it's worse for the scene not to have that because you're now basically not incentivizing these smaller orgs to put money towards these teams because they feel like it's such an uphill battle to even make it to these events now. Now your team of ragtag players that maybe they could qualify in North America or Australia for an RMR and potentially qualify, now they have to qualify for IM Dallas, IM Cologne, Blast, all these events to even get the points to go to the major, which I think a lot of people, if they do the math, they're going to realize that's very unlikely. So while I agree with his point, I'm not sure that I see it as much of a negative. But again, if you're just someone that wants to see all the best teams there, then yeah, I mean, this is the system that you'd want. So I guess it just depends, right? It's not about sticking around after the majors, but finding a way to get invited to ranked events, which also don't have open quals. The only way to do it is play for an established team that already gets invites. To be honest, I don't care that much one way or the other, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, like, look, these guys, like, downvote each other. Reddit's such a joke. It's completely controlled. Everyone is a hive mind on most subreddits. I mean, it's a little different on, like, some of the smaller ones, like game subreddits and stuff, but going to any big political sub, it's a joke. Half the comments are bots. But I never really understood why people are like, wow, he disagreed with me, downvote. like, dude, like, that's not really what the thing is for. Anyways, yeah, like, I think everyone agrees cheating is bad. Let's keep going. We're not going to read all this. Non-org players can still grind online tournaments like they always do to get a higher rank, and they would get invited. There is also a wildcard system, and open qualifiers are not just being eliminated either for all events. All this means is plumbers can't grind a month, win 3 games, and make $1 million. This doesn't happen, okay? Everyone makes it seem like it's so, like, oh man, I just accidentally got home early from work and joined the RMR qualifier and qualified, and now I got $500,000 sticker money. Lucky me. Like, if you qualify for a major, you deserve to make the major. It's not easy. Like, I don't get it. Like I don't understand how people think it's just such like this, like, you just win like 2 BO1s and like, we need the major. Like, that's not what happens. I think where a lot of disconnect from these comments is coming from is, like, Valve really needs to set how the points are going to work and then mandate whether, if Blast is invite only, and it's worth points, how is it fair that the 8 teams invited to Blast are getting points for Blast when nobody else can even attempt to play in the event? Like, to me, that's a little kind of defeats the purpose of the point system, right? Like, the point system should be everyone is equally capable of gaining points based on the fact that they can qualify for an event. Like, to me, that's kind of how it works. Like, I don't know. But anyways, guess we'll see. It also protects the players. No more weird orgs picking up tier players to see if they can fluke their way into the major. Because sticker money kick them to the curb once. Like, how is this bad for the players? Like, I get what he means. Like, it sounds bad. It sounds like, oh, they just picked you up for 4 months, gave you some money in a boot camp, and then you made a major, and if you didn't win or you did win, they cut you. And obviously it's bad if they steal the sticker money, but like assuming in the contract it's 50-50 or something, like how is this bad? Like if you qualify for a major, even if they drop you after, you've made a lot of money, and now you have a reputation of making a major. So that's only going to help you find sponsorships in the future. Like I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree. And like another thing is like I don't think a lot of people are talking about is like you don't want players to burn out. And I feel like with a point system, you force people to play every event for points. So like sure, if you're Vitality or something, you're probably going to have enough points to make the RMR regardless of what you do in the year if you skip an event or two. But I know for us at Nouns, we had a point where we were almost had enough points to get invited to I Am Cologne, I believe it was. I believe it was I Am Cologne. But we were a little bit off, and we weren't really sure how it was going to work because some people were making roster changes, and when you make roster changes, you lose points. The whole system is very confusing when it comes to points. Like, the only person I feel like understands it is Complexity's manager. but for everyone else, it's really confusing, and it gets updated all the time. Anyways, for us, we ended up playing like a bunch of like cash cups and just anything that had points when it really didn't benefit us to play. Like, we were playing cash cups like right before big events. We were playing qualifiers and things that, like, realistically, is it bad to play them? No, but if you're going to I Am Dallas and the week before you play a cash cup, it's kind of like, why are you showing your strats and your setups and kind of like, in my mind, wasting time, playing a cash cup for 2 days versus kind of like lower quality teammates just for points when you could have been focusing on things for the tournament, the tier 1 tournament coming up, right? So, I mean, everyone might have different opinions on that one, but like for me, it felt like the points really force you to play like all the time because you can't risk losing points. But maybe people don't think that's a bad thing. But I think burnout is something that people should consider when it comes to like these type of situations, because I do think it won't help that. But yeah, all they had to do was set some basic requirements to enter the RMR, something like Face It level 10 at least, maybe some other stuff, maybe get certified as a pro player. Face It League, they no longer made it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think this is like the worst idea, but I don't necessarily agree with it just because they're all kind of like arbitrary, right? Like being face level 10 is not like that hard. Doesn't guarantee you're not cheating. Being certified as a pro, I don't even know how you do that. I mean, like, there's so many weird issues when it comes to this that I think like the easiest solution is what I said previously, is just do the point system for all the top teams and have like 1 or 2, like 2 to 4 reserved open qualifier slots that let people in. If people get cheated, they get cheated, but you should have got in by points. If you're good enough, if you were a tier 1 team that was going to win the major, you should have qualified for the major anyways through points, and if you didn't, that's on you, and if you get cheated, sucks to suck. Like, but at least you give the chance for some other teams to get in that wouldn't have had the chance otherwise. Again, this is just with me wanting to see more diversity, because I'm very diverse. I live in Canada. We're very diverse. Very diverse. very, very diverse. Anyways, so I don't know. It's mostly people just arguing about this stuff at this point, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. So that's my video here. It's my rant. I just felt like having a convo about it. If you guys have your opinions, let me know. I know it was a little kind of chaotic, but I don't really know a better way to do this. And yeah, much love, boys. Appreciate you guys and girls. Less the girls because I have a girlfriend and she gets jealous, but you guys, A+.